Why leave Dublin? It's a two-parter, I guess. Volkanovski's fucking nasty, man. He's probably the most underrated champion in the UFC right now. If we're going just off technique and who's a better boxer, it's Usyk. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Pear pod. Our first episode in sunny Marbella. Buenos dias, hola. That's all I've picked up so far. Thank you, Leaving Cert French and Miss Jackson, turning out to be virtually useless. Anyway, so welcome everyone to sunny Marbella, Porta Banús. We made the move. I've been here 7 days, a week exactly. We moved last week, and honestly, we've gotten into the flow of things like pretty quickly. Myself and Myrn are both working remotely now, so she's next door. But it's been honestly quite an easy move considering everything and all the stuff we had to move. But yeah, we'll go back to the start. This pod is basically going to be an intro just to why I decided to move, what I plan to be doing while I'm over here, and then yeah, just the lifestyle in general here. So, why leave Dublin? It's a two-parter, I guess. Sorry if this is popping a lot. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a two-parter. The first part being the cost of living in Dublin is just fucking insane right now, if I'm honest. We were living in my childhood home that my parents decided to keep when we moved, so that we could rent it out. And that's honestly the only reason that I could have afforded to live outside of home back in Dublin for the last 2 years or so. Just because the rent is nuts in Dublin right now, and the competition is fucking crazy. So we were for a while looking for places in Dublin, but then quite quickly after Myrn moved online, we were like, we might as well take this circus abroad. And yeah, Marbella seemed to make the most sense. We've done Vancouver before, and it's a big old trip, but Spain it's a couple hours, and it's just it's a different kind of trip just because people are so close. We can travel home. I'm going to need to travel home for a few gigs or for a few jobs that are going to pop up. So being 2 hours away and not having to like mortgage yourself just to be able to get a flight home is definitely a big plus for us. So what was I saying? Why did we leave? So yeah, the cost is a big one, just relative to where we are in Dublin now, or compared to what we would be paying in Dublin. We're in a two bed apartment here in Porta Banús, and with our bills and rent and everything all in, we're paying about $9.50 a month. So compared to what that would get you in Dublin, is just I shudder to think of what the options would be for people. But yeah, so that was one big plus. Financially, we're going to be in a different situation now. We're going to be able to afford a lot more. I'm going to be able to invest more into my gear and into the podcast to make it the best I can. I want to, obviously, constantly I'm looking to update my gear, but financially, just when we're at the start of this journey, there's not a huge amount of extra funds to go into gear, especially because gear is so fucking expensive now. But yeah, so the reason one was just financially living in Dublin doesn't make sense right now. It's so expensive and competitive, and but what you're paying, I don't know if Dublin offers the same things that like a London or like or New York or one of those things would offer, for like kind of justifies the cost, you know what I mean? Especially for a creative, it just, and being able to work remotely, it made sense to make a move. And the second part is just trying to experience as many different places as I can while that's still a possibility for me. Obviously, there's a lot more people doing content full time out here, which means there's a lot of opportunities for me to work with people. I actually have a shoot on Wednesday with a fairly popular fitness personality from Dublin. Oh, he's not from Dublin, he's from Ireland though. So I'm fucking buzzing for that. Definitely want to do some more fitness stuff out here, but it was weird, man. The like when I first got over here or first moved in, my first priority was to I was like, geez, I gotta get a podcast going. And I don't know. I was talking to Maren about this, and she feels kind of the same. It's weird how people, I felt way more comfortable to create content here than I did in Dublin. I don't know if it's just a new setting or less people here or whatever, but that's definitely something I've noticed. I'm definitely charged, man. I'm ready to do as many things as I can. But yeah, so the other one was just professional. Maren wanted to experience something new. She works remotely now as well, so it just seemed like the perfect time to make a move. Now, what else do I have? So Marbella itself, it's beautiful. First and foremost, there's without question a change in vibe and people here. Everyone is very relaxed, very, very nice, and very welcoming. I think everyone here is just fucking so chilled out, man. Obviously there's a lot of like retired people here, a lot of older people, but there's also a lot of younger people here just working, man. But the general vibe here is great. It's definitely a lovely place to live. I don't know if I could do it here for forever, just because I think I just get far too relaxed. But for right now and for a change from Dublin, yeah, it's pretty nice. So the lifestyle for us pretty much has been now get up first thing. We head down to the gym. We joined M13, which is a local gym here. A few people asked me that. It's class, man. It's hot. It's a fucking sweat box. You get in there, everyone there is stacked, man. It's fucking insane. So like it's definitely a motivating environment to work in, and it's walking distance to us, man. So no more cars, which is a good and a bad thing. My steps gonna be going nuts, but it's nice to have everything in walking distance from you. Your whole life is in walking distance, and like when it's warm out and all that shit in the morning, especially in the mornings when it's warm out, like the walk is nice. You have your coffee or whatever on the walk down, and it almost warms you up for the rest of the day. So I really like it. I like what our routine is like right now. I need to get up a little fucking earlier, man. I'm sleeping in a little bit. Sleeping in like is in, we didn't get out of the house today till 8:30. We usually try to get gone by 7:30. It's just in our room, man. The room here, it has these blackout blinds and the firmest mattress, which I love. I just sleep really well in it. It's in the morning when it's so dark. When you sleep in those rooms with those blackout blinds and you don't know what time it is and you wake up, it could be 6 a.m, it could be midday, but you just can't tell. And it almost takes you an extra 15 minutes to wake up. That's kind of what I'm having right now. But yeah, in general, man, people were asking what the deal is with visually impaired as well. So I'm just up. I have my feet up. I'm gonna pop up a touch. Pop it up. Yeah. So visually impaired. Obviously, last year definitely has been the biggest year so far for visually impaired. We got we really diversified our base of clients. I got to do a lot of different kinds of work, which was great, and then build on the relationships I had with existing clients, which is also fantastic. There's definitely a underlying feeling of guilt to pick up and move on. While there's the clients that I have that are definitely going to be in need of content and stuff, but right now, with everything going on, I worked all the way up until literally the weekend before we left, just packing in as many shoots as I could, purely because I knew I could edit a lot over here, but the obviously not being able to shoot, I wanted to be able to feature or give the clients a little bit of extra content to be able to pump out while I was away, and then when I come back for Christmas, we could try and shoot some more stuff. But I guess for right now, I had to put myself and visually impaired first, and the opportunities over here are definitely abundant, and I think I'll come back a more well-rounded content creator, with definitely a more, I hope, a more impressive show reel and like collection of work. That's the goal. So like I'm coming out here to improve my skills and try to offer a better overall service to my clients. So that was the motivation behind it. Obviously all the clients are very understanding, but it's definitely it was definitely something that was on my mind when we were moving, and what like, am I going to lose all the progression that I've made, or all the momentum that we've kind of made? But all I can do is line up as many shoots as I can over here to kind of justify the decision of moving, and I'm going to do that. So yeah, let me just see what are we on? Okay, so I'm trying to think what else people are going to be interested in terms of visually impaired and the kind of work we're going to do. I'm actually meeting up with another content creator here who's shipping off to Dubai soon, and has a lot of leftover work basically, and a lot of clients that need him, and he needs someone to go in and take over that work. So it looks like he's going to be cool with that being me. I'm meeting up with him this week, and if that goes well, that's obviously basically a full client list waiting to be essentially serviced. Yeah, so I'm buzzing about that. We'll see what they say, and we'll see what he says. But he said it's a lot of like architecture stuff, a lot of like drone flights, stuff like that, which is that's perfect. And he said the money's quite good for that. So I will keep everyone in the loop, but that's definitely one of the things. And then I want to try and get into some fight gyms, man. Hopefully I'd be surprised if fight gyms here aren't if people aren't putting effort into their content at this stage. I don't know, like every gym right now should be seeing what the UFC are doing in terms of building stories, and you can see what they're doing with like Paddy Pimblett and stuff like that. They're see what they do with Conor. Do you know what I mean? They're building stories, these fighters, and it just makes them overall so much more appealing when people know where you've come from and stuff. So I'd love to help bridge that gap, and there's definitely a lot of people training here. Even in M13 they have bags and stuff, and there's some serious dudes in there. So I'm going to chase that down when I get a little bit more settled and get ahead of my editing and stuff. But that is also intriguing. So yeah, I'm going to do a quick breakdown of some of the fights around this weekend. We had a class weekend of fights there, and just give me 1 sec. Okay. So yeah, I'm just going to make sure I have it down as it was UFC 266, but I want to make sure that is the case, because I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah. So UFC 266 this past weekend. We had Nick Diaz returning against Robbie Lawler. I'm not going to go too long on any of these, and feel free to skip through. I'm going to either have timelines, or I'm going to have something up on the screen here where you can see what the topic of conversation is, because I know this isn't everyone's cup of tea. But yeah, man, Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler came back to fight again for the second time, and jeez, man, obviously great to see Nick in the octagon again, but he everything just looked a bit slow, to be honest with you. Robbie didn't. Robbie looked sharp. He looked like he was throwing hard, but just to see Nick kind of crumble like that in front of the ref, it's just something you don't attribute or you don't associate with the Diaz name. Usually it's go out in your shield, or very rarely go out in your shield. Do you know what I mean? They usually make it to the end, win or not. But to see him go down like that, and then all the shit going on in the ESPN, the Brett Okamoto interview, where he's basically saying, I don't know, he says that people might have misinterpreted what he said, but what he said was that he didn't really want to be here, and that he it wasn't what he wanted to do anymore, and that he's being forced into it by his managers, and if he had his choice he wouldn't even be fighting Robbie. And I know Nick's he's not that much keen on interviews, and I know that the whole press and journalism part of MMA is he hates it and he doesn't like to get involved in it, but saying that kind of stuff is just right ahead of a fight. It just seemed weird, and then the way the fight ended, it just all leads to the question as to whether or how motivated Nick Diaz was to actually fight. But yeah, and then obviously we had Alexander Volkanovski Brian Ortega. That was some fight, man. Jesus. I would have taken Volkanovski, purely because while Ortega looked great against the Korean Zombie, they had obviously the fight with Max where he got pieced up, and Volkanovski's fucking nasty, man. He's probably the most underrated champion in the UFC right now, just because like people forget he's beaten Chad Mendes, he's beaten Aldo, he's beaten all the big names. Obviously he beat Holloway twice, and now he's going to beat Brian Ortega. Like, that's the who's who of the featherweight division right now, and he's gone through all of them. So I think put a little respect on Volkanovski's name. Obviously he got caught in a fucking tasty little guillotine that looked tight, and he said it was tight. And Brian Ortega's a Gracie black belt, so he, when that thing's in, you definitely feel it. But he stayed calm, and that's what you have to do. You stay calm, and he found the way out, which you need to do. But he won 14 out of 15 rounds on the 3 judges scorecards, so you can't. And then the UFC judging is fucking brutal. So the fact that it was that unanimous, I think says something. I think he dominated the fight, apart from those two, the triangle and the guillotine. But yeah, and then the other big fight, I could go into the rest of the UFC card, but I don't think, obviously Valentina won again against Lauren Murphy. No shockers there. I think Lauren's class. She's actually been on the Sean O'Malley podcast before, and she comes across great as a true martial artist and all that kind of stuff, but just Valentina's in a different league, man. And the only female I see giving her any trouble is Amanda Nunes, if they run that back again. But yeah, I all in all, it was a great card. I'm interested to see what happens with Nick now, man. I wouldn't be surprised if that just stops. I don't know who you put him up against now. Like, the welterweight division is stacked. They didn't even fight. They fought at middleweight because he didn't want to cut the weight. So I don't know, man. That was another thing. At the last minute, he didn't want to cut the weight, which is just fucked up on Robbie. Like, because Robbie obviously got in his body. He had to get his body into position to be able to cut that last bit of weight to get down to 170. And if Nick wasn't going to make the weight, give Robbie a heads up. Do you know what I mean? 3 or 4 weeks before, and don't make him cut the weight. So that was bullshit. And obviously Robbie took it like a champ, as he always does, and they kicked the shit out of him. So fair play to you, Robbie. Yeah, and then the same night Joshua fought Alexander Usyk, and I have a few friends who are big boxing fans, and all the pundits, all the content channels coming up to it, everyone seemed to just not be taking. I don't know if people were unaware of who Usyk is. I don't know if it was just because there's this kind of air of invincibility around Anthony Joshua, which is just honestly a surprise more than anything. Just because of, obviously, he lost Andy Ruiz, and I thought after that people were going to start seeing that there's some real cracks in Anthony Joshua's armor, particularly just better boxers. You've seen Andy Ruiz, who had fast hands, and obviously gave Joshua a lot of trouble, and then he also came back in the rematch. But with Usyk was the cruiserweight champion, undisputed cruiserweight champion. Obviously came up, fought Tony Bellew. Tony Bellew is someone I really respect. I really like him as a boxer and as a pundit. He's very honest, and he said I don't think there's a better judge of someone or someone to take advice from when it comes to fight predictions. But Bellew has fought Usyk. Actually gave Usyk a lot of trouble, just because Tony also likes to stay long. He's a fucking beautiful boxer, technically a great boxer, and he gave Usyk some trouble, and Usyk was the bigger man in that case. And he just said Usyk is too smart. He said Usyk, he sets so many traps, and people don't see it. He might not be a devastating puncher, but even Bellew said after 8 rounds, he said, I was exhausted. He said even though I was winning the fight, he was winning on, I think he won 6 out of those 8 rounds. He was exhausted, mentally exhausted, because Usyk just he forces you to stay sharp all the time. and that wears on you. But in the Joshua fight, it was straight from the off. Usyk was straight at it. Traditionally not a fast starter. Comes straight out and was just finding a home for that left down the pipe. He'd clear out that front leg, and he just whapped straight down the pipe. And Joshua just seemed to be getting landed, or it was landing on him every time. Do you know what I mean? Or a lot for so early in the fight. Usually you need to start, or it takes a couple of rounds just to see what the opponent's doing when you move and just feeling each other out a little bit. But straight away he was clearing that front foot and he was coming straight down the middle. So I don't know if that was something they noticed in the camp. They were like, we're going to try and exploit this. But apart from maybe the 5th and the 6th round where Joshua came back a little bit, Usyk hosed him, man. Hosed him. Obviously they have the automatic rematch clause now. But I'm just thinking, it's different to the Ruiz fight. In the Ruiz fight, Joshua wobbled him and was probably close to finishing him. He was also the first person to put Ruiz down. And so leaving that fight, you were thinking, okay, well, there's potential that Joshua can just fix a few things up, be a little bit more careful. Don't get caught coming out with that left hook, keep the hands up. And that's what he did. He came back, he fought much more technical, and he outboxed him. But I don't think Joshua can I don't think that the change in style, there's a few things that I didn't see working for him, but it seemed from the off that Usyk was just technically a better boxer. And I don't think the size made a huge amount of difference, or the weight didn't seem to make a lot of difference. Joshua couldn't even seem to get close enough to be able to try and put his weight on Usyk, but that's not his game anyway. So if we're going just off technique and who's a better boxer, it's Usyk. So you run that back in fucking Ukraine or something. Do you know what I mean? And that was Wembley. Do you know what I mean? Like for Usyk to go into Tottenham Stadium, packed out. I think they said there was 2,000 Ukrainian tickets sold, and perform like that. Like fair fucks to you, man. And now Joshua has to go away and try and do it again. And I don't know if that's going to happen, which leads you to a potential Fury Usyk fight, which I just think Fury would still. I think it's a different game. I think the size would make a much bigger difference when you're 6'11" or whatever height Tyson is, and the weight he is, and especially the way he's fighting now with Kronk. I think it would be a whole different problem for Usyk. But right now, not the time to look at future ones. Just celebrate Alexander Usyk, and I think. I don't think that rematch we're going to see much different, if I'm totally honest. Just give me a second to reset the cameras. But yeah, man. At this stage, I would very much appreciate it if you would all subscribe, like the video, and subscribe. I'm going to work at this pod, man. It's actually weird. It takes a lot of work to set up. I don't know how this is going to look. I'm looking at the monitor here and it looks all right. So I think this will it'll look and sound great. But to set up is a little bit of work. Now that I have my own space, it's going to be easier. But I want to get some guests in here, man. I want to do. I think the guests make a big difference. I'll do these recap ones when it I'll do these ones when it's applicable, and But yeah, I think the guest ones, I get more out of them. I like learning from someone else. I like hearing their story. And I think here there's a lot of people that would consider coming on. And so particularly some people in the creator space. I need to start leveraging my Bloom on, and the fact that we work with a lot of influencers. And I have a lot of guys we work with the Bloom on who are traveling around right now. You've got like Rob Lipsett, Louis Armstrong, Brandon Harding, people like that. I really want to try and take that opportunity or use that intro to try and get some people on the pod. I think it would mean some interesting conversations. But yeah, that's the main deal with Marbella right now. Like right now, the plan now until Christmas is to really sit down and grind. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of editing and stuff to get done. I've got a lot of videos to finish, and then we got client work straight away, and then Blue Mon's getting busier than ever. We've got Black Friday coming up, so there's a lot to be done. But but I'm still going to try and make this podcast one of my priorities. At least one every 2 weeks, or like 2 a month or something. But feedback is always appreciated. And if there's anything you guys want to see or topics you guys want to talk about, like, I know I'm not a fight personality or anything like that, but I am a huge MMA fan in particular. I consume all the content. I watch every card. Well, I watch all the big cards and I get the highlights on the smaller cards. But I think I have something to offer, particularly on the UFC side in terms of insight, particularly from a fan's perspective. Obviously, when you're an ex-fighter and stuff, they see a lot from the perspective of the fighter, but from a fan perspective, and particularly in looking at the way the UFC promotes and looking at the content they put behind their fights in particular, I think I could offer a good perspective on. So yeah, I'm gonna try and do more of these. And yeah, I think this one's only going to be like 20-30 minutes, but I didn't want to overload you guys with content off the bat. And yeah, thank you all for watching. There will be more of these coming down, don't worry, and they will be longer in future, but it's Monday morning and I've got a lot of shit to do, so I need to go and do that. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Yeah. Goodbye.